Hi you guys, this is Ross, and today I'm going to show you how to install the rear awning pole on your Jeep camper. And I've got the pole right over here, but the first step is to get the zip ties started. These are stainless zip ties. They're really strong. They have more than a 300-pound braking strength. And they're flexible, and the easiest way to get them started though is to take your thumb, put a little curve on it, kind of like this. Hold that up there so you can see it. Put a little curve on the end of the zip tie. When you insert the zip tie into the bracket, you want to come in from the bottom, and that little curve takes a little bit of practice just to get it right. I didn't make it quite sharp enough. And it comes through in this area, and we're going to bring that through like that, straighten it out, and stick it into the other side just so it stays put. And we're going to do that again with the second one. And the direction of the point on these works so that when the zip tie comes around, it's coming in the top of the keeper right there. So hopefully you can see that. But it'll come in the top. I'll give you a close-up of this in a minute. I should have made it just a touch sharper. So it comes through like that. And now that we've got those sitting there, just like that, we'll go on to the next step, which is attaching the pole to the rear bracket. The pole that you received already has a bolt in the end of it. That's where I shipped it at. And so you just have to remove that, and then we'll put it in back here. You'll need a Allen wrench that's a 5/32. This is the bracket that we were just using to install the pole. And those slots that you see are the slots that the stainless zip ties pass through. There's plenty of room. They fit through there pretty easily. All right, so pole just slides through there. And you line it up like that. The knobs at this end, which I'll show you here, right there. This knob you want down like that when we tighten up the bolt and the zip ties. This one can move, or it will move after the fact, because that's part of the pole will spin. This one won't spin, so we want to get it in this position. And I'm on the driver's side. The passenger side will be a little bit different. At this end of the pole, there's only one hole, and the bolt goes through it. It'll spin into the pole really easily. It's not a snug fit. The threads are loose, and you spin it in as far as you can with your fingers, and then obviously finish up with your tool. And I'm going to tighten it up. Once it's snug like that, it really only needs another quarter to a half turn. And then it's tight back there. All right, so to tighten up the zip ties, when we put these on the shop, we have a fancy tool that pulls it tight and then snaps the end off all at once. Since obviously you don't have that, we're going to do it the old school way. And the first thing, like any zip tie, is to snug it up as much as possible. These are stiffer than a typical nylon zip tie, but you can still kind of push on it like that, snug it up, and get it as tight as you can. However, that won't be as tight as you want it by hand. So to get it fully tight, I'm going to use the old screwdriver and plier trick. And what I'm going to do is, grab an end of it, push on the keeper, and then pull hard. And if you do this, you'll be able to get the zip tie tight enough to have the pole in there securely. It'll move just a little bit, and but the foam that you have compresses just a little bit when we do this, and that's what kind of locks it in place. So you want to get as much force as you can on that. It's kind of an awkward position, and get it as tight as you can this way, and we'll go to the next step of cutting that off. So to cut these zip ties, you need to use a sharp tool, and if you have a tin snips, that might work and be really easy. I'm going to use a sharp side cutters and a pliers to kind of help the side cutter shear the piece of metal. And what I want to do is run it long, because after I'm done cutting it, I'm going to fold it over and tuck it back here, because that gets the sharp edge out of the way. So I'm going to cut it probably about 2 inches long of the actual slip joint. And what I do is I take my pliers and I use a linesman because it's tight, and grab it and try and create a firm grip on it there. Put the side cutters right up next to it and twist like that. And that's the easiest way I've found to cut that edge. It'll leave a sharp edge. So the next step is taking care of that. So the edge on this is definitely sharp enough to cut you. So one thing to do is just take the pliers and bend it over. While I make this harder than it should be. So I've bent them both over flat. And then, because this stuff is kind of flexible, I'm going to tuck it back in there like that. So I've just completely forced it back this way. When you go to use the pole and extend it, this clamp is going to stay where it is. And when I stow the pole, I snug it up a little bit. I have found out that that knob will rattle off if it's not snugged up. So you need to loosen that a little bit, just extend it out, and extend out the other one into the rear awning. And when it comes back, you just put it back. Again, snug this up when you get all the way back in, and snug the other one up so the knob can't rattle loose. And then when you go to put the camper away, I had this up here just so you could see, but when you go to put the camper away, one thing to do is try and line up that Velcro so it's not lower than the Velcro underneath. If it's lower than the Velcro underneath, it'll just stick out of the lid when you close it. Now I'm at the passenger side of the Jeep, and I'm going to give you a little close-up of the location of the bolt where it goes into the bracket that's over the rear door. It's just that one bolt that goes in there. And then as we walk down the other side, here's a close-up of the zip ties. These I put on previously, so they're cut short. And then at the rear of the camper, you'll see that the knobs are oriented differently than they are on the driver's side. They point down over here. The reason they point down is for clearance, so when the lid comes down, it doesn't hit them. And so that's why they're angled differently. Still need to snug them up when you put them away.